if you want to understand the local context and the local potential client, like regional banks, you should come to Tokyo. We promise to prepare a bunch of networking opportunities for you.
Welcome to this episode of Couchonomics with Arjun in partnership with the Founderspeak Unplugged. We're beaming in live from the Singapore Fintech Festival. And sitting across the room from me is Ushida-san, who's the Chief Fintech Officer of Japan. Ushida-san, welcome.
So thank you very much, Arjun, for having me for this excellent podcast. So I am Ryosuke Ushida, a Chief Fintech Officer of Japan Financial Services Agency. And I apologize that my voice is very bad because I talk too much.
No, it's good. It's good. I will. Well, unfortunately, you are going to have to do the talking in this show. Nobody's tuning in to listen to me.
It's more than happy to answer anything.
It is a privilege to have you. And if you don't mind, can I call you Rio, which was what you had suggested?
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So thank you. Our audience is quite global, right? My audience is in the Middle East, Central Asia. It'll be very interesting to understand what is sort of the focus in the areas that you are currently double downing on in your role as Chief Fintech Officer in Japan.
So FSA is a financial regulator regulating almost all types of financial institutions, including banks, insurance companies, brokers, and crypto companies, everything in Japan. And then my role is to develop fintech and innovation policy. And specifically, I am now in charge of developing policy on emerging technology like AI and blockchain. One example is now our team is developing an AI discussion paper to be published by March next year. So I would like to communicate with our private sector experts to catch up with innovation and to develop policies that make sense to all of you. And another important mission is to contribute to the international fintech community. That's why I am here in Singapore, and then last week in Kuala Lumpur, and then next week in Bangkok.
Oh, wow.
To work with many experts like yours. And then we also have a Japan Fintech Week, March next year again. So it's a kind of one of our efforts to become pro-innovation regulators and then to work together with fintech startups to make Japan fintech ecosystem much better going forward.
And I think that's very interesting when you say it, right? So I was privileged enough to come to Japan earlier this year when I met you for the first time in March, which was an excellent event. So, well done. Obviously, it was an excellent time of the year because I also got to see the cherry blossoms, which was great. Fintech Japan, the association has not been very, very strong, right? Mm-hmm. It's not the first country, and which is quite unusual because innovation in Japan is very common, right? Like, as someone who's in his 20s and 30s, anything disruptive, anything innovative, your first reaction would be, it must be Japanese, right? Was there a conscious decision to go a little bit slower in terms of the fintech evolution, right? Was the ecosystem not sort of conducive for fintech with, challenges with interest rates and so on and so forth? How do you believe that this will change? How will the pivot happen?
Many people talking about Singapore, Dubai, Hong Kong, and the EU, and of course, United States, but not much about Japan. So Japan is a good country for food or tourism or whatever, but many listeners think it's a good for fintech businesses, but it's actually wrong. Because we are now changing our regulation like every year to accommodate fintech innovation, including AI and the blockchain. Then one example is that we already have a comprehensive crypto regulation.
Yep.
So it includes a stablecoin regulation, which was implemented just last year. So everyone is talking about MiCA, which is a comprehensive framework, but I'd say Japan is one of the first countries to already have that kind of framework. So, and indeed, the government of Japan is encouraging Web3 players to do business in Japan, and the number of startups are increasing. Our society is facing a lot of challenges, like declining population, and then we have good technologies, and then we have actually very good banking and services and financial systems, which was built like 20, 30 years ago. So it's very good even now, but it's becoming a legacy system, and then we need kind of make digital transformation using emerging technologies. So we have to overcome those kind of legacy challenges, and that's why we need solution partners, including international fintech startups.
And that's very interesting, right? So you use some names. You use Singapore, you named Dubai, you named Hong Kong. Most of these, if I may use the word fintech hubs, were actually fintech hubs where they were able to invite international fintechs to come in, but with pretty much a goal towards selling them or internationalizing them, right? Because the fact of the matter is all these economies are very small in terms of relative size. They're all countries under 10 million people, right? But they've been able to do this. Japan is a massive economy by itself. It's a significantly large country, right? And so how do you see this balance being traded? Are you trying to attract a lot of international fintechs to come to service Japan, right? Is that the primary goal? And then you'll say, okay, once you've serviced the Japanese market, then you can always internationalize it. So where's the thinking on it? Is it first come innovate Japan or different?
You are absolutely right. So we are fourth largest economy in the world, and then we have a good, I'd say, kind of real economy, like in our automotive industry and the manufacturers and then other service industries. We have a lot, and then we have a huge household financial asset, and then even corporate has a lot of cash, which are looking for investment opportunities. So actually, big financial institutions and then even corporate and the venture capitals are looking for our fintech investment opportunities, and then that's one thing. Incumbent players, like banks. Let's say we have more than 100 regional banks everywhere in Japan, and then they are facing declining population of each region. So if they do nothing, their business model is just shrinking. So they are eager to change, but it's quite difficult to do it by themselves. So that's why if international fintech companies come to not only Tokyo, but many places in Japan, you will see so many incumbent players are looking for partnership with them. And then we don't think, many countries in Asia and the Middle East are competitor. Rather, we can collaborate each other. That's why I'm here. So we have a financial asset and then some real economy. And then other countries, fintech players could provide sophisticated, financial mechanism and then technologies. So that's, I believe we could have a win-win situation.
No, I think you can. And I think you're very correct, because I think one of the big shifts that we are seeing in the market is that, fintech is going from what I refer to as scrappy startups to actually infrastructure providers. And I think for banks or financial institutions who want to transform faster, right? Fintech infrastructure is one way of doing it much faster rather than having built it themselves or constantly work with the incumbents. Sure. Let me sort of take this question in a slightly different way. You mentioned that last year there was a full regulation of crypto, right? Let's call it digital assets, stable coins, so on and so forth. So what was the thinking? How come? Because you're correct, because I see a number of very interesting digital assets pilots, very interesting digital asset use cases which Japan is actually bringing to life, right? A number of banks and number of large banks are actually adopting it. What made you guys go down the digital assets route progressively? Was there a conscious thought on it? How did that come around?
Not only FSA policies, government and the prime minister's initiatives to make Japan one of the hub of Web3 industry. It was decided, I think it's 2 or 3 years ago. And then it's not only about FSA, but blockchain technology could change whole aspect of our society.
Yes,
like,
completely.
It's a DAO, for example. It's changing the way how, company is working. So as a ministry, like Ministry of Economy and the Ministry of Justice should work together with other ministries. So that's why it's, top-down, government initiatives to encourage healthy innovation with blockchain. And the part of that, we are taking care of digital assets like crypto asset or stable coins and then tokenized securities. So we have individual regulation that could apply. So depending on the types of tokens. And then I don't say our regulation is easy. It's we are having tough requirement for sure, because we take care of risks and we put importance on consumer protection, financial stability, and financial crime prevention. So, but anyone who'd like to make business in Japan because Japanese investors very much like crypto trading and stablecoin for that as a means of payment. So you will see a lot of opportunities in Japan, and then we have no intention to stop those innovation without reasons. So we are happy to discuss on the future development plan.
And so that leads me to the question. I think you're a co-chair of the Virtual Assets Task Force, right? And that Virtual Assets Task Force is a collaborative task force, right? Talk to me a little bit about what are you guys doing within that task force? How is that catalyzing collaboration?
So, Financial Action Task Force is an international AML safety standardization body, and I am co-chairing a virtual asset, crypto asset working group, together with US Treasury colleagues. So we are developing an international AML safety standard for crypto industry, like travel rule, and many ML safety measures. And then it may sound weird that the same person is taking care of both innovation and the ML safety, but I don't think so because, regulation and the innovation should work together.
Agreed.
So an innovation without, compliance won't make anything in the future, in the long run. So that's why we need technologies to ensure good compliance, and then we will ensure safe environment. So if something like FTX could happen, next time the crypto industry will be shrinking. So we should prevent those incidents happening again. So that's why Financial Action Task Force is eager to work with private sector experts to develop a FATF standard, and then to help many countries and then many players to implement our recommendation 15 in an efficient manner. So that's in my mindset, it's quite the same. So in any case, we need a private sector expert to make a policy that makes sense to all of us.
No, agreed. And I think you make a very good point that, compliance and innovation should go hand in glove to a large extent, although it depends on what glove is the stronger one, because you get, if you get too prudent with compliance, then sometimes innovation is not able to sort of get off the ground. In a lot of ways, I think it's not an unhealthy tension to create, right? Having said that, let me put a very challenging question, and this is my question to every financial regulator that whenever I get a chance to meet. Your role is to regulate the use of a particular technology in the financial services sector, right? Which doesn't mean that you're regulating the technology, you're regulating the use of that technology in the financial services sector. How do you cope with technologies that are evolving so rapidly that by the time you have understood that what I need to do to make this compliant or regulated, it's again moved, 6 steps ahead. How is the operating model of the regulator or your office actually evolving to cope with that?
Indeed, the challenges facing all of regulators.
Oh, it is every regulator, yes.
Let me share my story. So I joined the FSA back in 2010, just after graduating university. Then I was doing, traditional regulator's job for nearly, 6 or 7 years. And then suddenly my boss asked me to go to Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. to study blockchain. And then I was surprised. Oh, what is blockchain? I didn't know that at all. But
Don't worry, you were in the same boat as all of us.
Yeah, I found it somewhat interesting because it's a new technologies. And I have a Bachelor of Engineering. So that's why I decided to go to Washington, D.C. Then I had a kind of tough discussion with Bitcoin developers and the Ethereum Foundation stakeholders, and some stakeholders who hate the government, actually. But I realized that, our ultimate goal is same. So we want to make our society better. So even, Bitcoin engineers do not want bad guys doing Bitcoin to use for illicit purposes. So we have something in common. That's my take. So after that, even, in Singapore Fintech Festival, I have a lot of opportunities to work with variety types of experts. And then I'm now learning how, different philosophy, different idea matters to develop regulators thinking. So it's not only about technology. So it's kind of learning experiences and how we should think our society from a little bit different perspectives, but towards the same goals. So that's a kind of eternal learning experience is needed for regulators, but I'm enjoying that.
You are. No, and I can see that every time I speak to you. Let me pivot to a topic which I don't know if often comes up. You're a large economy, fourth largest in the world. You have a significant population. I'm sure financial inclusion is a challenge, right? Financial, it's a very wide word, micro and small businesses, right? Across the world, doesn't matter how developed the financial services system is, they continue to remain underserved significantly. My question to you is, how much of a challenge is that in Japan? Right. And what is it that you're trying to do from a fintech side to sort of address that?
More than 98% of Japanese have a banking
Bank
account,
account,
and
yeah.
then they have access to not only banking services, but many types of financial services. So in a sense, our financial inclusion issue could be a little bit, I'd say, lower than many other emerging countries. But having said that, for example, small and medium-sized enterprise are struggling to send their money from Japan or to Japan to other countries because Japan is quite expensive when it comes to the cross-border money transfer. So that's a huge challenge for not only SMEs but also individuals, including those coming to Japan, working and then sending money to
Back
their
to
home
their home
country.
country,
So
yeah.
we have a strong relationship with Asian countries and then South American countries and then all over the world. So that's something we have to address. And these days, there are so many international people and then tourists are coming to Japan, but sometimes they find it difficult to make payment using their usual payment method because our payment system is not that interoperable with others. So yeah, we have a number of issues and we are facing our aging population. So we have to think about elderly people should have access to basic financial services. So even though our traditional banking system, financial system is relatively good, still we have our financial exclusion challenges. So that's why we put very importance on that.
And I think you say that because, one of the things I at least I see, and maybe I'm right or wrong, is that one segment, and again, financial inclusion, I use the word underserved. I think that's a better way to look at it because, as you said, you have 98% of the world population has a bank account, right? So it's not they're excluded, they are included, but they might not be. One very interesting segment that I see fintech not doing enough for is the silver economy, right?
Great.
It is the aging population, right? We're not building apps for the silver economy. We're not building UI UX for the silver economy. We're not actually building products, right, for the silver economy. People are living a lot longer. People are working a lot longer, right? People have needs. Their financial needs are required for a lot longer. Is there, do you guys see this as a massive opportunity, a massive potential for Japan to actually take, turn a challenge into an opportunity and grow a whole new segment of players?
Challenge means potential business opportunities.
Totally agree with you.
Older generation have so many financial assets actually. So it's inherited from the parents, which is nearly 90-year-old. Our age is very average age is very high. So it's from people in 90s to people in 60s. So but they have to find a good way to invest the money in an effective way. So it's a huge opportunity, for example, for asset management and the wealth management industry to deal with these, I would say, underserved wealthy people. And then they are just putting their money into banking deposits. It's not good for them, but also for the industry or society because, if such money goes to private equity or startups or whatever, our society, our economy could improve much better. So it's just one example, but I believe there are so many opportunities.
No,
so
I'm sold. I'm committed.
Yeah.
I personally think that there is a massive opportunity to grow a whole segment of fintech, right, which services that cohort of the segment, which not only serves Japan, but then you can export that capability because I don't think there is any part of the world where this is consciously being addressed in scale. You do see one and two of the things. Let me move to one more section. I'm conscious of time, so last two questions. Cybersecurity, is front and center. More data is becoming available. Data privacy is becoming a challenge. But a lot of the so-called disruptive innovation is going to come on the back end of the data being freely available, us being on cloud, us being able to use multiple tools, interoperability, connections, all these kind of things that we talk about, right? How do you guys see cybersecurity? Is it going to start? Is it actually going to become paranoia levels, and therefore it'll basically just halt innovation, or do you see a way around all this?
Definitely, it's one of our highest priority to ensure cybersecurity and operational resilience for financial institutions. So I'm not specifically in charge of IT cybersecurity team. But from technology perspectives, for example, AI is changing financial landscape, and it means financial institutions would rely more on third party like AI model vendors like big tech players, and then of course they have no choice but using cloud services to make something happen. Cybersecurity risks could increase due to as a result of adopting emerging technologies, and of course blockchain could have some potential risks and vulnerabilities which could lead to cybersecurity risks as highlighted by some report like Financial Stability Board and others. So we are very much taking care of those cybersecurity risks, but at the same time, technology could enhance cybersecurity. So, for example, something like AI could be used to, detect fraudulent production and to detect, scam and to detect, cybersecurity attacks. So it's a kind of double-edged sword. So, we should be kind of agile for monitoring and market development, as well as updating our way of monitoring to ensure cybersecurity.
Last question, two parts to it.
Mm-hmm.
If there is a startup who is interested to explore Japan, fintech startup, what should they do? And second part is, what should we be expecting in the Japan Fintech Week in March?
They should come to and talk to us, FSA, because FSA is very pro-innovation regulators, and our team is running one-stop consultation office for any startups named the Fintech Support Desk. So if you have any inquiries about Japanese regulation and then getting a license, contact us anytime. And then if you come to Japan Fintech Week, which takes place from March 3rd to 7th in Tokyo, you will see not only international experts like Arjun, but also many local people coming from regional banks and the regional economy, municipalities, whatever. So if you want to talk to major banks of Japan, maybe Singapore, you can do that. But if you want to understand the local context and the local potential client like regional banks, you should come to Tokyo, and then we promise to prepare a bunch of networking opportunities for you to communicate in English. And then, of course, you will see what's going on in the Japan fintech ecosystem. So, please come and see me.
No, well, I will definitely come and see you. Hopefully, people listening to this show will also look up on the opportunity. I know that you're going to be doing something with GFTN. Obviously, there is a bigger event, which is the week. Mm-hmm. And then within that, the Japan Fintech Week, there is the Japan Fintech Festival. Ushida-san, I wanted to thank you. Thank you for making time. And I know your voice needs a bit of coffee or something warm, right? So please take care of yourself. You have 2 more days here, and then you said you're off to Bangkok. So have a little bit of vitamin C.
Thank you very much. This is my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Ushida-san, who's the Chief Fintech Officer with the FSA, which is the regulator in Japan. I've had the privilege of meeting him a few times now. First in Tokyo, then he was with us in Riyadh. I think I did meet him in Dubai also in the between, and now this is the 4th time I've met him here in Singapore. So, hope you enjoyed the conversation. Hope you picked up a little bit more about what Japan is up to. And please reach out to their office if you're one of the startups looking to enter Japan, right? So with that, I'll say goodbye till the next episode.